US 41. Yeah. All right, we are taking a look at the southern part of US 41. Not all the way down today because there's just too much to talk about. So today we're talking about US 41 from Kentucky, where we left off in the last US 41 video, which you can check out right over there, to Atlanta, because the Atlanta baseball stadium is going to be hosting the All-Star game. So we're getting ready for 2 weeks on that. Let's take a look at the route. We're not doing all of 41 today. As I said, we're starting from the Ohio River in Henderson, Kentucky, and going down to 285 in Atlanta, the northern section of 285. We continue where we left off. We'll start out southbound. We saw this in the previous US 41 video. We are crossing the Ohio River south of Evansville, Indiana right here. Once we're across, we get this exit for US 60. I did a US 60 episode right here. Supercut for that's coming up in a couple of weeks, but requests are closed. We see we're on South 41 to I-69 for Madisonville. We will get to Madisonville, but I-69 will get there faster. We're leaving and we are signed south for Morganfield. You're watching Control City Freak. This is the YouTube channel where we talk about highways and the places that they're signed to go to. If you dig this kind of content, why not give us a like? And if you really like it, why not subscribe? Yeah, subscribe. And we get a mile off of I-69 and we see Morganfield is actually not for us. It's for State Highway 425. US 41 is turning left and we are signed for nothing. Nothing. Get used to that. That's why I was reticent to do this part of US 41 despite all the fan interest in it, because it is on the side of other roads the entire time. And we see here there's not much to sign on US 41. That's why it was not signed in any direction, because we are right next to I-69 going down to Madisonville. Heading toward Madisonville, we get this ramp that will lead us to I-69 left, and we will go right for South 41, Madisonville Business District. And here is a look at downtown Madisonville. Couldn't find any mileage signs in Madisonville, but we enter Earlington right coming out of Madisonville. Leaving Earlington, we go under I-69. That's an old-looking bridge, because that's one of Kentucky's old parkways that they numbered as I-69 now. We're in Nortonville here, and we're meeting US 62, the great US 62, and maybe we'll do a video on that one day. We are going straight, and we are not signed for anything, once again. South of Nortonville, the Penny Ryle Parkway is signed south for Hopkinsville. US 41 signed for nothing on this interchange coming off of it. Just like we just followed I-69 between Nortonville and Henderson, now we follow the Penny Ryle Parkway, or rather it follows us. We're on the older road down to Hopkinsville. And here we are in downtown Hopkinsville, and US 41 is going to be turning left here. Let's take a brief look at straight. If we go straight, just a couple of blocks, we get to Farrell's Hamburgers, or Farrell's, and this was requested by WesleySMcGee, and he says it's at 10th and Main, and he went there with his grandparents every summer. It's been around a long time. Looks like a great spot. That sign is no longer there. This is a little bit older, so I hope Farrell's is still there. This was a request from several years ago at this point, and thank you for that request. Wesley requested that with a $5 super sticker, or super thanks, as anybody can on any video, and you can check the posts to see what upcoming videos are coming, or video descriptions. I can't tell you exactly right now what requests are open as I record this. Also got a Patreon going, and you can make requests at the Patreon as well. We also have the occasional exclusive content or polls you can vote in or that kind of thing as well. And I appreciate everybody who does both of those things. You guys are the best. Continuing south through Hopkinsville, we meet US 68, and we are going straight. They don't even tell us 41 is going straight, and we of course are not signed for anything. Coming off the Penny Ryle Parkway, we are signed for Pembroke by turning right. And oh my god, we're getting an actual mileage sign. These are so rare. This might be one of the only ones we see in this whole episode. We're getting Guthrie and Nashville. Nashville 61 miles away. Decent swing. In Guthrie, we meet US 79, so I will show that intersection here. We enter Montgomery County, Tennessee, but we get no Tennessee welcome sign. What are you doing, Tennessee? I mean, Tennessean is disbelieving here. We're in Adams, Tennessee, and Clarksdale is to the right. Nashville is signed straight ahead, so we'll head to Nashville. We'll stop in Springfield first because we are meeting US 431, and we will become concurrent with 431 for a short distance. 431 is splitting from us here later in Springfield, but we will meet it again, meaning I-65 and North 31W. Yeah, 31 is a whole-on split like it's I-35 in the Metroplex, only it goes on for several miles in Tennessee and Kentucky. It's pretty confusing. Really, they ought to make it 31 and 31A instead of 31E and 31W. Right here we cross into Nashville, but we do not get a Nashville welcome sign. And now we're meeting I-65 once again. And now we're meeting 431 once again. So south 431 straight, they have several signs telling us that. They don't tell us 41 goes straight, but it does. 31W gets top billing. I mean, 31 is the lowest number here, so that's usually how it's done. But I feel like, you know, the fact that it has a banner on it with that W means it should move down, and this should be 41. We're getting toward I-24, and I-24 will be right, 41 will be left. And now we've made it over to 31E, so we've met both of them. And we must have been concurrent with 31E southbound for a little bit there, because now apparently the 31s have reunited. 431 is with us as well. Pass right by the Titans Stadium, and we see the Titans' new stadium is under construction, although the old one's not really that old. And as we cross the Cumberland River, we get a good view of the Nashville skyline. We go right past the Tennessee State Capitol. It's up on a hill right there. And next to the Tennessee Capitol, I noticed this on Street View, so I gotta show it. We got a Tennessee Map Plaza, so anytime we're celebrating maps, I'm down. Here is Broadway, which is also US 70, although they don't mention it being US 70 anywhere here. I was on Broadway before, and I had no idea it was US 70. Here's a look down Broadway, heading toward the more heart of downtown Nashville, where all the honky-tonks are. And here's my picture of Broadway, the one time that I was in Nashville a few years ago. Good times. Broadway in US 70 was requested by New York Rambler because the only time he was near US 41, he was on Broadway, as one does in Nashville. So thank you for that request. Continuing south of downtown, we are going to split with US 31. 31 goes right and we go left, but they don't have any sign telling us such. We're going to be making a curve again, and now we're on 31A, so they've already got an alternate for 31. That's I-40 in the background. We're meeting I-40 and I-24 is very nearby, and so we're signed for Knoxville and Chattanooga. Looking at the Briley Parkway, we see 41 and 70S. Apparently we're concurrent with that. 70S, why so many random routes like that? Is there a 70N too? Why not make one of them 70A? This will be Murfreesboro Road, BNA, and cell phone lot, so main control at this point is BNA Airport, one of the weirder airport codes. We go right under the runway at BNA, one of the runways there. Now in Antioch, we are meeting Hamilton Church Road, which is the way that Cleokatra used to get home from work on nights hanging out with friends. This intersection also has Cleokatra's favorite mediocre pizza place in all of Antioch, Steak Plus Pizza. Thank you so much for that request. A little further down the road, we're meeting Tennessee 102, and this was requested by saturnotaku because the Nissan assembly plant is right near here, and he's never been, but he worked for a company where Nissan was a client, so thanks for that request as well. A little further down, we can see part of the Nissan plant from 41, so I will show that as well. We're meeting 840, and 840 is signed for Knoxville and Chattanooga, outer ring of Nashville. And coming off 840, South 41 is signed for Murfreesboro. We're still on East 70S. In Murfreesboro, US 231 is joining the party, so we'll be concurrent with that along with 70S. 231 doesn't last long though. 231 is going to leave us, and we will continue on 41 and 70S. And later on the southern end of Murfreesboro, 70S finally leaves us, and we are independent once again. We go through a stretch where we're very, very close to I-24. We kind of hug I-24 most of the way from Nashville until its end in Chattanooga, but here it is close enough that we can actually see it. Here in Beech Grove, we are signed for Manchester, which is what I would choose as well. And we're meeting I-24. Once again, we meet that quite a few times. And on the other side of Manchester, we meet I-24 for another time. And we can see basically from Murfreesboro on down to Monteagle, we are very close to I-24, so it's tough to really think of what to sign other than I-24 things. Monteagle, we're meeting 41A, so at least they're not giving us a E or W1, just an A, so we know we still follow 41 proper. We get another mileage sign, wow, the second one, and Tracy City 6 miles away. But McMinnisville, 45 miles away, is not for us. We turn off this road in Tracy City. Tracy City didn't have any control cities, but after leaving it, we are going to be turning right for Jasper. This is on Tennessee 28, which we were concurrent with, and we are going to be exiting along with US 64 and US 72 for Jasper. We've already gone by Jasper though, so we're turning left and we don't get a sign once again. And we also don't even have a shield here, just 64 and 72. The Griffith Highway, we are now signed for Chattanooga. And now we cross the Tennessee River at a very wide point, Tennessee River Gorge, so that's a pretty awesome thing to do. Here we have another option to get onto I-24. That'll get you to Chattanooga. We will go to Chattanooga as well, we just take the longer way around. We follow the Tennessee River, and it is right there, right next to us, and apparently we're concurrent with US 72 at this point too. I-24, once again, signed for Chattanooga straight ahead, which you could do by getting on 24 or going straight, and Nashville and Birmingham because of that I-59 beginning. Here is the ramp onto I-24 eastbound for Chattanooga, and we are signed for Lookout Mountain, and apparently we are also meeting US 11 at this point as well. Right here we get to Browns Ferry Road, and this was requested by Andrew Devore because it goes to what used to be the Southeast Imports dealership, which was owned by one of his favorite Instagrammers. Thank you for that request. We're near Lookout Mountain here, and we're also right next to the Tennessee River. I-24 is far below us down that cliff. We meet I-24 once again, and at this point, we are in Chattanooga, and southbound 41 is actually going northbound. We're concurrent with US 76. We might be concurrent with other roads too. Tennessee doing a pretty bad job at signing US 41. Maybe they do that bad with all the US highways. And heading down Main Street, we see US 11 and US 64 turn right. They aren't mentioning that for US 41 and US 76, we turn left at this same intersection. And on I-24, US 41 is signed for East Ridge, so that's our next control city. We're heading toward a small old tunnel on US 41, pretty cool looking. Here is the entrance to the tunnel, so yeah, just one lane in each direction. On the other side, we get to I-75. I-24 is going to be finished at this point, and now I-75 becomes our daddy pretty much. Chattanooga and far south Tennessee, so welcome to Georgia. Here in Ringgold, we're getting a lovely sign salad kind of thing, and we see 41 and 76 are going to be turning left. On I-75, US 41 and 76 are signed for Ringgold and Tunnel Hill. From US 41's perspective, we are signed straight ahead for Dalton. In Dalton, US 76 will finally leave us, so we will head on with state highways. We are on the Dalton bypass, and we are turning left to continue south. I-75 is straight ahead, and we get no control cities. We see here from this Dalton bypass through to Calhoun, we are going to be just right next to I-75. We've made it to Calhoun, and we see a Dairy Queen in the distance there, and that Dairy Queen is requested by TheDerpHog. He says not on 41 itself, but it's down the road on Georgia 53. His family stopped there while moving from Huntsville to Raleigh in 2012, so thank you for that request. Further south in Calhoun, we see we're now going to be signed for Adairsville, and that I-75 is around like always. We're meeting US 411, and we are going to be turning right toward I-75 once again, and we are now signed for Cartersville. US 411 leaves us with no sign, and we continue without it, and I-75 is coming up shortly as well. In Cartersville, we are going to be turning left at this intersection, and once again, we have no control city for us. We see control cities in every other direction, and it's true in every direction coming into this intersection that there is no sign for where we're going. South of Cartersville, US 41 will be signed for Marietta, so we are very much in the Atlanta metro now. Here in Kennesaw, we are meeting the McCollum Parkway Northwest. This was requested by AmarilloByMorning because it's an intersection with a road that they always took to his aunt's house. So thank you for that request. In Marietta, we pass right by the Dobbins Air Reserve Base. This was requested by Kinggike because his dad was in the Air Force Reserve and served at that base for 20 years. So that's fantastic. Thanks to your dad. And thank you for that request. And we're getting pretty close to new Fulton County Stadium. They built it out here. This looks like a wonderful place for a baseball park, right? Really reminds you of the Wrigley Field area. Very similar to that with the giant stroads and all. Right by the baseball park, though, they did build this little ballpark village kind of thing, so that's interesting, but I felt like it was probably cooler where it used to be. The MARTA also doesn't come anywhere near this area where they built all this stuff either. Here is the entrance to the ballpark village, and we get a giant Atlanta Braves thing here. And here's a look at the stadium itself, since that's where the All-Star game is going to be played. Continuing on 41, we're going to be meeting 285 and 75 again, of course. This is our interchange for that, and that is as far south as we will go in this episode. We're going to go back north, but if you want to see more southbound, next week we will show it. Let's take a quick look at northbound US 41. Here's our exit for 41 off of 285 Cobb Parkway, and if you look carefully, you can see that the current baseball stadium name is Green Out, and if you look back a couple years, it's the former baseball stadium name. Another reason corporate names are so awesome, right? You have to green out every time these companies change the name. This stadium's only existed for like 10 minutes, so it's amazing they've already had 2 names. We're also signed for Dobbins Air Reserve Base, so that works. Getting off the ramp at 285, we see we're signed for Marietta and for Dobbins. So I'm gonna jump ahead to Marietta, and in Marietta, we're signed for Chattanooga. All right, let's go. So we're skipping ahead. Tennessee welcomes you. We were signed to Chattanooga. So here we are back in Chattanooga. Here is that tunnel coming from the other directions, just to show it coming from both ways, because it is pretty interesting. We're meeting 11 and 64, but there is no mention of them. And while we are quad concurrent, we see 41 and 76 are signed here, and further up the road, 11 and 64 are signed. Why they couldn't put just all the signs together next to each other, I have no idea. And here is where North 41 will leave 11 and 64. This is the South Side District of Chattanooga. It's the most developed, built-up area of Chattanooga that we pass through, as we don't go through downtown. And we've left 76, but we're meeting 11 and 64 again. We're signed for Lookout Mountain. This is actually coming off of US 27. When we meet I-24, US 11 South is going to be leaving us. This was a wrong-way concurrency with US 11 here, and we will continue north. Well, I guess this is about as good of a mileage sign as we can expect. Jasper 21, no other cities listed. Here we are passing over the Tennessee River once again, looking in the other direction. And when we get to Tennessee State Highway 28, we are signed for Dunlop when we become concurrent with that. We're not going to Dunlop though, we are going to Tracy City, so a little ways up, we are turning left, exiting ourselves again. In Tracy City, yeah, the best directional sign I could find was brown signs telling us the way to trailheads, because really, there's no reason to be here unless you're going out to some kind of nature thing in these mountains. 24 would be the faster way around. Ways out of Tracy City, we enter the city of Monteagle. And in Monteagle, well, we're getting Manchester and Nashville. Let's go. So, skipping ahead to Nashville, and this is our welcome to Nashville sign. Music City, Metropolitan Nashville, Davidson County, home of the Grand Ole Opry. That's the weirdest welcome sign for a city I've ever seen. Here's another look at downtown Nashville as we approach Broadway. And here's another view of the Cumberland River with the skyline and the stadium. Heading north out of Nashville, we are now signed 41 for Springfield. And just outside Springfield, we are signed for Adams, which is a pretty small place. I think they could skip that one. In Adams, we've got this mess here. We see a mileage sign with Clarksville and Hopkinsville on it, but on this road with the T intersection into US 41, they get Guthrie and Springfield, so kind of weird. Welcome to Kentucky. They give us a welcome sign, and we are on North US 41 in Guthrie. When we meet US 79 in Guthrie, we're signed for Trenton? We're not signed for Hopkinsville? Hopkinsville was already signed in Tennessee, and Trenton is 384 people, so just sign Hopkinsville here. Here's the outer loop of Hopkinsville where we are meeting US 68, and here is a look at central Hopkinsville. Coming out of Hopkinsville, we're signed north for Nortonville, and the Pennyrile Parkway is signed for Madisonville, although we'll be going there too. In Nortonville on US 62, we are signed for Madisonville, headed northbound. I-69 in northern Madisonville has an exit for 41 north, and they sign at Madisonville, even though we're kind of at the northern extremity of the city already. I feel like you should sign something further north. And here in Slaughters, we're signed for Madisonville and Seabury, and I suppose Seabury would be the next thing to sign. It's pretty small. If you're signing something that isn't faster to go to on I-69, that'd be what to sign. Beyond Seabury, there's no control cities at all that I could find. I looked for quite a while, so I'm jumping back to where we're meeting up with I-69. So North US 41 signed for Henderson, 69 south for Madisonville and Fulton. We are meeting US 60 once again, and we are getting 41 Evansville. And here we cross the bridge back into Evansville, so that shall end this episode. Let's take a look at Todd's the way it should be for this section of US 41. Southbound, we've got quite a few places: Madisonville, Morganfield, then Madisonville again, Nortonville, Hopkinsville, Springfield, Nashville, BNA Airport, Murfreesboro, Manchester, Monteagle, Tracy City, Jasper, Lookout Mountain, Chattanooga, East Ridge, Tunnel Hill, Dalton, Calhoun, Cartersville, Kennesaw, Marietta, Smyrna, and finally Atlanta. Northbound, it's going to be pretty similar, but I simplified it a little bit. Marietta, Cartersville, Adairsville, Calhoun, Dalton, Chattanooga, Lookout Mountain, Jasper, Tracy City, Monteagle, Manchester, Nashville, Springfield, Hopkinsville, Nortonville, Madisonville, Sebree, Henderson, and Evansville. All right. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Control City Freak. I had fun. US 41, it's taxing to do. I knew it was going to be a hard road to do, and it was. US 11 shows up in this video, and it's a lot like that. That's why I probably don't have any plans to do that anytime soon. But we will be back next week to finish US 41 and take it down to Miami. Until then, my name is Todd, and keep on trucking.